Chapter 456. The introverted Han Xiaowei. It is impossible for a new human emperor to be born otherwise. The ancestral artifact of the Xianyuan royal family, the Xianyuan sword, has been missing for thousands of years. Up to this point, the entire Xianyuan royal family and those familiar with the inner circle have lost hope in the possibility of a new human emperor being born. It is easy to imagine how complex Han Xiaowei's feelings are at this moment. Deep down, she longs for a new human emperor to emerge. But the scene unfolding before her suggests that the new human emperor might very well be Xianyuan Tianshi, which is somewhat hard for her to accept. Xianyuan Tian is not only her senior sister Ouyang Qing'er's fiancé, but also the brother of the little girl Xianyuan Qingli. That little girl Xianyuan Qingli is simply too annoying, always going against me. No, it's bullying. She bullies me whenever she gets the chance. I can't even beat her, and my senior sister won't help me. If Xianyuan Tian really becomes the human emperor, then Xianyuan Qingli would be the human emperor's sister, making her a princess of the human race. With such an identity, even her mother cannot compare to Xianyuan Qingli. Isn't that little brat going to completely ride on my back? The more Han Xiaowei thought about it, the more upset she became. Looking at the grinning little Qingli, her heart was filled with indignation. How could Xianyuan Tian have such a sister? Why is she so lucky? How great it would be if I had such a brother. Then no one could bully me. As she thought about it, she felt like crying. It seemed that little Qingli sensed her gaze, turned her head, and winked at Han Xiaowei. What do you think? From the look on your face, you must have guessed something, right? Little Qingli already knew Han Xiaowei's identity and had heard from Ouyang Qing'er that she greatly admired the Yellow Emperor ancestor. Regarding the legendary stories of the human emperor, she was even more informed than herself, a core disciple of the Xianyuan royal family. Humph. Han Xiaowei unhappily turned her head away, wishing to avoid seeing her. Don't struggle in vain. My brother's identity is exactly as you guessed, little Qingli said proudly. With such an amazing brother as his sister, I can walk across the entire 9 provinces. No, even if I go to the territories of the 3 major alien races, I can still walk sideways. That feeling is simply wonderful. Don't you think so, Miss Han? Little Qingli became more and more complacent. Han Xiaowei was so furious that she trembled all over, an unnamed rage bubbling up inside her. This girl is too infuriating. I really can't get along with her peacefully. Han Xiaowei secretly vowed to keep a distance from this little brat in the future. Otherwise, every time they met, she would be provoked, and at this rate, she would soon meet an early demise. All right, little Qingli, don't go too far. Sister Han is not an outsider. And Sister Han greatly admires the human emperor of the past. She hopes more than anyone for a new human emperor to be born. Ouyang Qing said impatiently. Continuously comforting Han Xiaowei. However, Han Xiaowei really seemed angry, and the rage surrounding her could not dissipate for a long time, no matter how she was coaxed. TCH. She is several years older than me. Why is her mentality so poor? I was just joking with her, trying to tease her, and she ended up this angry. How petty. Little Qingli seemed unconcerned and continued to say things that could infuriate others. Chapter 457. The True Face of Lushan's Sister. Look at her. Han Xiaowei felt even more wronged, tears unconsciously welling up in her eyes. Little Qingli this time. Ouyang Qing'er really looked angry. Little Qingli was getting more and more excessive. Han Xiaowei was not only her junior sister, but also her best friend. Originally, their banter was harmless. But little Qingli's words had become somewhat hurtful, especially since she knew that Han Xiaowei greatly admired the human emperor. So at this moment, she was genuinely angry. Little Qingli apologized to Xiaowei. Ouyang Qing'er glared at little Qingli angrily and scolded. Little Qingli was startled by Ouyang Qing'er's sudden reprimand. She wanted to say something, but upon seeing Ouyang Qing'er's furious face, she immediately wilted. Pouting, she turned to Han Xiaowei and cupped her hands. Sister Han, I'm sorry, it was my fault. I spoke without thinking. I shouldn't have talked to you like that. I hope you'll be magnanimous and not hold my word against me. Watching little Qingli apologize so sincerely, Han Xiaowei felt a bit better inside. All right, for sister's sake, I'll forgive you this time. Han Xiaowei waved her hand, speaking very generously. Then I thank Sister Han, little Qingli said seriously, then cautiously glanced at Ouyang Qing'er. Since you've apologized and Xiaowei has forgiven you, let us let it go this time, but there must not be a next time, Ouyang Qing'er said sternly. Don't worry, Sister Qing. There won't be a next time. Little Qingli stuck out her tongue playfully. As for what she really thought, who knows? Soon, their attention was diverted. Roar. The deafening roar of a dragon echoed from afar. The golden giant dragon reappeared in everyone's sight. This time, the many powerful figures present were even more shocked, including Xin Yuan Lai and Ouyang Jing. The human emperors all had their mouths slightly agape, looking incredulous. Only Bing Li remained calm. In contrast, the Blood Demon Emperor and others were not only shocked, but also horrified. At this moment, all eyes were on the golden giant dragon. No, to be precise, they were focused on the top of the golden giant dragon's head. There, a yellow figure had appeared at some unknown time. The figure did not seem particularly tall, but at this moment, no one dared to underestimate this figure. To be able to stand atop a golden dragon is truly astonishing. Among the many powerful figures present, anyone with a cultivation level above Martial Saint, whether human or from the 3 major alien races, likely knew of the 5 Divine Beast clan. They were very clear that although the 5 Divine Beast clan had a special relationship with the Xianyuan royal family, they were not beings that could be commanded by the Xianyuan royal family. Only the human emperor could command the 5 Divine Beast clan, even using them as mounts. Anyone else trying to use divine beasts as mounts would simply be digging their own graves. Under the gaze of billions of martial artists from both sides, the figure atop the golden giant dragon gradually became clearer. Everyone finally saw the true face of this figure. Xiao Tian, Xianyuan Tian, waves of exclamations, voices of disbelief, surged one after another. The echoes resounded throughout the heavens and earth, unable to calm for a long time. Chapter 458. The human emperor appears after the exclamations. There was a moment of silence. Everyone's mouths were agape, unable to close for a long time, their eyes filled with shock, nothing but shock. Standing atop the head of the golden dragon was none other than Xianyuan Tian. At this moment, he was clad in a golden dragon robe and wearing a golden crown. The yellow robe billowed without wind, exuding an overwhelming aura that looked down upon the world. Feeling this unique and domineering presence, the crowd began to awaken from their stupor. It was truly Xianyuan Tian. He was actually standing on the head of a divine dragon beast. Could it be that he is the human emperor of our Xianyuan royal family in this generation? The one speaking was the 5th elder of the Xianyuan royal family, Xianyuan Bailey. At this moment, his mouth trembled, his speech somewhat disjointed, his eyes filled with disbelief. Suddenly realizing something, Xianyuan Bailey couldn't help but shudder, looking at that familiar, yet somewhat unfamiliar figure. A sense of ominous premonition creeping into his heart. It shouldn't be, right? Aside from Xianyuan Bailey, almost all the human powerhouses began to speculate about this. One after another, they became incredibly excited after the initial shock. However, doubts still lingered in their hearts, and everyone turned their gaze towards Xianyuan Lai. Xianyuan Lai's face showed hesitation. As the current patriarch of the Xianyuan royal family and the lord of the Huaxia sacred land, he had been worried about the potential invasion of the 3 alien races into the Jiuzhou continent in recent years, feeling utterly exhausted, the pressure on him indescribable. Although he had guessed Xianyuan Tian's identity, he dare not act on it. The identity of a human emperor was no trivial matter. It could not be casually determined based on their speculation. That would be too childish. Not only him, but other human powerhouses shared the same thought, which is why they looked at Xianyuan Lai, waiting for his next decision. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Blood Demon Emperor, the Demon Emperor, and the Witch King, along with the leader of the demon sect, had expressions that could hardly be described as difficult. Especially the leader of the demon sect, at this moment. His inner sense of unease intensified. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could the human race give birth to a new human emperor? The leader of the demon sect's gaze flickered uncertainly, his mind caught in a battle between heaven and man. However, whether it was him or the Blood Demon Emperor and the others, their eyes were also fixed on Xianyuan Lai. They were waiting for Xianyuan Lai's next move. Whether Xianyuan Tian was indeed the human emperor, it seemed that only Xianyuan Lai, as the patriarch of the Xianyuan royal family, was most qualified to make a conclusion. Just as everyone turned their attention to Xianyuan Lai, Bing Li, who was beside him, suddenly vanished. The next moment, she appeared dozens of meters in front of the golden dragon, kneeling on one knee in utmost respect, saying, "From the Xianbing Palace, Bing Li, respectfully welcomes Your Majesty, the human emperor." Bing Li's sudden action shocked everyone. including Xianyuan Lai, the Blood Demon Emperor, and other top powerhouses. They all gaped as if they could swallow an egg. It was now silent. One could even hear the sound of the breeze passing, the leaves falling, and a few sounds of jaws dropping. Senior Bing Li, no need for such formalities, Xianyuan Tian said, raising his right hand slightly towards the kneeling Bing Li, his expression full of authority. Bing Li felt as if an invisible hand was supporting her body, causing her to stand upright uncontrollably. Chapter 459, Legendary Divine Weapon Good. So strong. To what extent has His Majesty's strength reached? Bing Li was inexplicably astounded at this moment. She was now a genuine Emperor-level powerhouse. Although she had just entered this realm for less than a year, with her ice attribute, even the Blood Demon Emperor, the Demon Emperor, and the Witch King could not completely suppress her. After the shock, Bing Li felt more excitement in her heart. The stronger the human emperor's strength, the greater the chance for the human race to repel the 3 alien races. No, with His Majesty here, the human race will not lose. These invading alien races will be eradicated. Bing Li's thoughts were very firm. What she thought in her heart was unknown to others. The only thought in the minds of the crowd was that even Bing Li, the Ice Snow Emperor, had knelt down on one knee to welcome Xianyuan Tian. Moreover, the other party's attitude was incredibly respectful, as if it were the most natural thing to do. There could only be one possibility. Xianyuan Tian was indeed who most people thought he was, and that astonishing identity could be confirmed. There were many martial artists present who knew Xianyuan Tian. Those familiar with him saw his expression at this moment and felt they hardly recognized him. Xianyuan Tian seemed like a completely different person from his usual self. What others thought did not concern Xianyuan Tian at all. Suddenly, a golden light burst forth from his forehead, instantly covering the entire battlefield, blinding everyone. The next moment, the golden light dissipated, and a huge golden beam shot out from Xianyuan Tian's forehead, soaring into the clouds. Buzz, buzz, buzz! A melodious sword chant resonated through the sky. Everyone's gaze was drawn to the golden light above the clouds. Could it be? As if realizing something, Xianyuan Lai looked shocked, his hands trembling uncontrollably. It seemed to confirm his thoughts. That golden light rapidly flew back to Xianyuan Tian's side. As the golden light faded, its true form was revealed. It was a nearly 1 zhang-long golden giant sword, exuding a sharp aura. Anyone who looked at it couldn't help but be captivated. This is the Xianyuan sword. No mistake about it, this is the legendary divine weapon of my Xianyuan royal family, the Xianyuan sword. Only by gaining the Xianyuan sword's recognition can one become the new human emperor. In other words, Xianyuan Tian has gained the Xianyuan sword's recognition and has become the new generation human emperor. Has the 5 divine beasts also been summoned by him? That's right. Members of the Xianyuan royal family and the 8 great families were all discussing excitedly at this moment. Xianyuan Lai, the current patriarch of the Xianyuan royal family, respectfully welcomes Your Majesty, the human emperor. The one speaking was Xianyuan Lai, who knelt on one knee before Xianyuan Tian with immense respect. At this moment, his face was solemn, his eyes filled with devotion. I pay my respects to Your Majesty, the human emperor. I respectfully welcome Your Majesty, the human emperor. At the moment Xianyuan Lai knelt, all the human martial artists present, one and all, knelt on one knee, loudly welcoming Xianyuan Tian. Their expressions were respectful, devout, excited, and also complex. If anyone had the most complex feelings, it would be the new generation leaders of the 8 great families, such as Dongfang Qi, Shangwan Yuan, and Huang Fujia. Back at Ouyang Qing'er's birthday banquet, they had been quite hostile towards Xianyuan Tian, because Ouyang Qing'er had a close relationship with him. In other words, they viewed Xianyuan Tian as their greatest romantic rival. Of course, this was just their perspective. Xianyuan Tian did not see them as rivals at all. Chapter 460. The regretful Blood Demon Emperor, to be precise, they had no right to be his rivals. Xianyuan Tian and Ouyang Qing'er are a couple deeply in love, and no one can interfere with their relationship. However, what complicates the feelings of those around them is another matter. From a young age, they exhibited exceptional talent and were early on regarded by their families as the next clan leaders, receiving focused training. They were instilled with a particular mindset by the elders in their clan. They're the most outstanding geniuses of this generation, the successors to the leaders of major families, and the extraordinary figures who will lead this era. If a new human emperor were to arise from the human race, or if the Xianyuan royal family were to produce a new generation of human emperor, they would follow closely by the emperor's side, becoming the pillars of the human race. They have always kept this in mind, and it is also a source of pride for them. The honor of being able to stand by the emperor's side, to be his right-hand man, and to follow him into battle is immense. At this moment, when they learned that Xian Yuan Tian is the new generation human emperor, they felt both excited and complex emotions. How did the other party become the human emperor? Xian Yuan Tian was unaware of their thoughts. He looked at the millions of human martial artists kneeling before him, his expression slightly stirred. However, he quickly regained his authoritative demeanor, raised his right hand, and said sternly, "Everyone, no need for formalities." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone felt an unnamed force supporting their knees, causing them to stand up involuntarily. They were once again shocked. This was the power of the human emperor. How terrifying it was. While all the human martial artists were in shock, Blood Demon Emperor Yao Huang and Wu Wang had already reacted. The three exchanged glances, seemingly understanding each other's thoughts. In the next moment, their figures vanished from the spot. Also disappearing were the leader of the demon sect and the powerful emperors of the three major alien races. Xian Yuan Tian immediately noticed their movements and showed a look of disdain. Then everyone saw him extend his right hand, pointing in the direction where Blood Demon Emperor and the others had vanished. A beam of light, mixed with 9 colors, shot out from his fingertip, transforming into countless 9-colored rays along the way. In less than 3 breaths, countless 9-colored rays covered the sky within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, seemingly isolating this space from others. Just as everyone was staring at these 9-colored rays, a series of light snorts came from the front. Everyone looked over. Near the boundary covered by the 9-colored rays, several figures appeared, exactly those who had just vanished. Blood Demon Emperor and others. What was shocking was that they were not only forced to reappear, but also trapped by the 9-colored rays, unable to move. Blood Demon Emperor, I killed your son, and you have always wanted to capture me alive, haven't you? Xian Yuan Tian coldly stared at Blood Demon Emperor and said, I'm right in front of you. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Hearing Xian Yuan Tian's slightly mocking tone, Blood Demon Emperor felt for the first time that a person's words could be so piercing. His face darkened, growing somewhat grim. Looking at this somewhat familiar yet strange young man, Blood Demon Emperor felt a moment of daze. Once, Xian Yuan Tian was just an insignificant ant in his eyes, easily suppressible at any time. Now, he had become a powerful existence that he could not compete with. Chapter 461, The Abnormal Xian Yuan by Xian Yuan Tian. With an easy demeanor, reached out his right hand towards the front and gently grasped it, rendering the Blood Demon Emperor's body immobile. Not only him, but all the 3 powerful alien races that suddenly attacked the human martial artists, including emperors, half-emperors, and martial saints, found their bodies completely restrained, suspended in midair. Unable to move, only their pairs of frantic eyes trembled incessantly. Those were eyes filled with immense fear. A cold and merciless voice fell as Xian Yuan Tian's right hand turned into a fist. In an instant, 9-colored spiritual energy lines appeared around each of the 3 alien powerhouses suspended in midair, forming a mass of 9-colored light that enveloped their bodies. Under their terrified gazes, the 9-colored light flashed, and thousands of alien powerhouses turned into particles of colorful dust. A gust of wind blew by, dissipating them in this world. Everyone present again fell into shock. For the 3 alien martial artists who were still alive, it was a fear they had never experienced before. They lost the courage to escape. Xian Yuan Tian had no concern for their current thoughts. He only knew that these aliens had invaded the Jiuzhou continent, wanting to exterminate the human race, and there was an irreconcilable grudge between them and the humans. Kill, leave not a single one. Xian Yuan Tian spoke again, his voice icy and his tone unquestionable. Kill all these invaders, leave not a single one. A passionate voice echoed across the battlefield. The one who spoke was Xian Yuan Bai Li, the 5th elder of the Xian Yuan royal family, who charged towards several demon martial saints in the distance. Filled with rage, at this moment, Xian Yuan Bai Li had already stepped into the half-emperor realm. Over the past 6 months, the Xian Yuan royal family and the Huaxia Holy Land had poured a vast amount of resources into the martial saints, especially those who had lingered at the peak stage of martial saints for a long time. Many half-emperor powerhouses, particularly those at the extreme half-emperor level, provided unreserved guidance to these peak martial saints in martial arts, including Xian Yuan Bai Li. The Huaxia Holy Land had over 10 peak martial saints who had successively broken through to the half-emperor level. At this moment, all the alien martial artists on the battlefield, including emperors and half-emperors, were dead. With a wave of his hand, Xian Yuan Tian caused all the alien emperors and half-emperors to turn to ashes, dissipating in this world. The strongest among the 3 surviving alien races had only the peak martial saint cultivation. Even if Xian Yuan Bai Li had just broken through to half-emperor, he was not someone these peak martial saints could match, even if several peak martial saints joined forces. As expected, in just a few breaths, Xian Yuan Bai Li appeared before these demon race peak martial saints. Without any extra words or movements, he slapped out. A golden giant palm, formed by powerful spiritual energy, descended upon the heads of the few. The demon race peak martial saints did not even have time to react before being crushed into mush. Seeing this, Xian Yuan Bai Li calmly stroked his beard, revealing a satisfied expression. Initially, Xian Yuan Tian was also taken aback by his actions. As if recalling something amusing, he looked at Xian Yuan Bai Li with a playful expression. This old fellow had once tricked him, and several times afterward tried to use the same method again. But with his great-grandfather Xian Yuan Ji and others present, he had not succeeded. Xian Yuan Bai Li seemed to sense Xian Yuan Tian's gaze, shivering all over. Chapter 462. Stealing kills. His expression changed unpredictably. Is this kid still remembering the past? Does he want to settle old scores? I'm still your elder. Isn't it only natural to bring something to show respect to your elder? Is it necessary to be so stingy and hold a grudge? After all, you are now the human emperor. You should have the generosity that comes with it. Yes, that's right. This kid is already the human emperor and the strongest in this world. He shouldn't be so petty over such trivial matters. If it comes down to it, I can just kill a few more enemies. With this thought, Xian Yuan Bai Li unleashed a terrifying aura again and flew towards the nearby demon martial saints. There, dozens of top demon martial saints were gathered, their expressions tense, wielding powerful weapons and assuming a defensive posture. Seeing Xian Yuan Bai Li flying towards them, they became even more flustered. Don't panic. Even if he is a semi-emperor, we shouldn't be afraid. With so many of us, even if we die, we can take a few down with us. One top demon martial saint roared to the sky, trying to boost the morale of his comrades. His words indeed had an effect, as other demon warriors responded, unleashing a powerful aura and displaying a fearless expression. Even if we can't kill him, we have to find a way to make him pay. One demon warrior said fiercely, at the very least, we should take some human martial saints down with us. These demon martial saints had also been cultivating for thousands of years, and they knew very well the strength of a semi-emperor. Even if a group of top martial saints joined forces, they could at most barely contend with a semi-emperor. If they were lucky, they might even inflict some damage. But to kill him, the possibility was extremely slim. Therefore, they leaned more towards taking down a few human martial saints with them before they died, which was the best plan they could hope for. Ha ha! Just a bunch of martial saints dare to dream of killing me. A few demon martial saints did not lower their voices deliberately. Hearing their conversation, Xian Yuan Bai Li couldn't help but laugh out loud. Today, let you experience the power of a semi-emperor. As soon as he finished speaking, Xian Yuan Bai Li appeared less than 50 meters in front of that group of demon martial saints. Just as he was about to strike again and kill these demon martial saints, suddenly, other human warriors took the initiative to act first. Boom! Boom, boom, boom! Several powerful attacks landed almost simultaneously on the demon martial saints, leaving them no chance to dodge, turning them into blood mist, their souls extinguished. Xian Yuan Bai Li's face darkened, and he shot an annoyed glance at a few human warriors in the distance. It seemed to say, you guys, how shameless can you be? You know I want to kill them, yet you come to steal the kills? Ha ha, Elder Wu, you can't hog all the glory. At least let us stretch our muscles. I haven't fought in over 1,000 years. My bones are almost getting loose. The speaker was an elderly man in a blue robe, with white hair and beard, looking very immortal-like, currently laughing heartily, completely unconcerned about Xian Yuan Bai Li's somewhat resentful expression. Exactly, Elder Wu. In your eagerness to achieve merit, don't forget about us. As human warriors, if we don't kill more enemies, how can we face our disciples when we go back? Very true, said another elder. Today, the 3 major alien races have joined forces to invade our Jiuzhou continent. As the Supreme Elder, if I don't take down a few enemies, it would be very embarrassing. Chapter 463. The cruelty of the demon race, not just the two of them. Others also began to chime in, mostly in a joking tone. These individuals, like Xinyuan Bailey, were also semi-emperors and were quite familiar with him. However, Xinyuan Bailey was still somewhat displeased. You old foxes all know that this elder needs to take down these alien martial saints to show off. If it were before, it would have been fine. But right now that kid is watching me. Do you want face and I don't want face? However, Elder Wu also knew that these people wanted to show off in front of the new human emperor, Xinyuan Tian, so he didn't say anything more. He snorted lightly and said irritably, there are plenty of these alien martial saints. If you want to take heads, then do it based on your own abilities. After saying that, Xinyuan Bailey's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. The next moment, he appeared in another direction, where the witch race martial saints were gathered. Without any nonsense, he unleashed a powerful attack, killing more than a dozen witch race martial saints. Seeing this, the others were unwilling to be outdone and also began to act, forcefully exterminating the alien martial saints. Besides them, on the human side, everyone except the extreme semi-emperors and great emperors took action, especially the younger generation of warriors. Each one full of fighting spirit, the battle cries shook the heavens. In contrast, the three major alien races were demoralized, and the situation was overwhelmingly in favor of the humans, who were crushing the three major alien races. Xinyuan Tian stood calmly on the giant head of little Jean, surveying certain areas of the battlefield, nodding in satisfaction. This made him feel a bit regretful. Initially, he shouldn't have been so careless and allowed the enemy to grow smoothly. At this moment, even if he allied with the Demon Emperor and the Witch King, or even the great emperors of the three major races, they probably wouldn't be a match for Xinyuan Tian. Why'd he have such thoughts? It was his intuition, a self-awareness possessed by the Blood Demon Emperor as a top-tier powerhouse. This intuition was never wrong. What's wrong? No words to say. Xinyuan Tian smiled lightly and said, this emperor allows you to live a little longer, giving you a chance to leave your last words. The Blood Demon Emperor's expression changed unpredictably, finally turning into a cold snort. The winner takes all, whether to kill or to maim. You can do as you wish. No need to waste your breath on me. I, the Blood Demon Emperor, have cultivated for thousands of years. Since I was 6 years old, I was thrown into the Blood Demon Mountains by my father to train. That year, I killed for the first time. It was my own kin. The Blood Demon Emperor revealed a cruel smile and continued, since that time, it has been uncontrollable. I have been experiencing slaughter and the baptism of blood every day. I no longer remember how many demons have died at my hands before I was appointed as the next Blood Demon Emperor. I'm not afraid to tell you. My father had over 100 offspring, and when I was named the next Demon Emperor, there were fewer than 20 left. Do you know how they died? The Blood Demon Emperor grinned, a bit eerie. Xinyuan Tian raised an eyebrow lightly, not responding to his words. The Blood Demon Emperor suddenly laughed loudly. Among them, 90% were killed by me. They were my own brothers and sisters. To compete for the position of the next Blood Demon Emperor, from the moment we stepped onto the path of cultivation, we were destined to be competitors, enemies. One of us must die for the other to live. I never wanted to compete for that so-called Blood Demon Emperor position, but my father, the previous Blood Demon Emperor, forced me to fight. Chapter 464. The crazy Blood Demon Emperor, he told me that as his son, I must have the ambition to become a ruler, otherwise, I would not be worthy of being his son. If I gave up my qualification to compete, he would personally kill me. Haha, I am his own son. But in his eyes, I am just a tool for him to train the next Blood Demon Emperor. The Blood Demon Emperor laughed louder and appeared increasingly mad as he spoke. At that moment, he became the focal point of the entire battlefield, with everyone's gaze fixed on him. Each of his words clearly reached every person's ears. The strong warriors and soldiers of the Demon Clan became more intense in their killing intent, and their eyes grew more resolute as his words echoed. Some among them scanned the nearby human warriors, their murderous aura unabashed. In contrast, the Alju and Wuju people retracted their killing intent considerably, losing their initial high spirits, as if they were afraid of being targeted by the human warriors. Watching the Blood Demon Emperor gradually descend into madness, the Yaohuag and Wuwang exchanged glances, their mouths slightly agape. Wanted to say something. In the end, they merely sighed softly, saying nothing, quietly observing the Blood Demon Emperor. On the human side, Xinyuan Lai and other Emperor-level warriors had serious expressions, their eyes fixed intently on the three alien races' strong warriors, especially the Blood Demon Emperor. Min Vida, Xuan Yuan Kavi, Xuan Yuan Bai, Dongfang Qi, and other talented human warriors who had been fighting for their lives against the three alien races showed no signs of relaxation despite Xianyuan Tian's appearance. On the contrary, their focus sharpened, occasionally glancing at the nearby enemies. Many other human warriors who had participated in the battle but were below the martial saint level were shocked by the Blood Demon Emperor's words. However, those present were all geniuses who had experienced slaughter and the baptism of blood. After a brief moment of shock, they quickly regained their composure. One by one, they entered a state of combat, ready to engage in battle at any moment. As the newly emerged human emperor, Xianyuan Tian maintained a calm demeanor, showing no signs of being affected by the Blood Demon Emperor's words. He could be said to be the calmest person present, watching the Blood Demon Emperor with indifference. "Is this your last words?" The Blood Demon Emperor looked at Xianyuan Tian, and the next moment he burst into a loud laugh, saying something that shocked everyone. "Ha ha! Not only did I kill my siblings, but even my father, who thought he controlled everything, the previous Blood Demon Emperor, ultimately died at my hands." The Blood Demon Emperor had completely gone mad, his eyes bloodshot, revealing a fierce expression. He continued to laugh maniacally. Do you know how he died? In the shocked, horrified, and disbelieving gazes of everyone, the Blood Demon Emperor revealed a particularly cruel smile. I crippled his cultivation, drained his vital blood, and he completely vanished, disappearing from this world. Ha ha ha! I still remember his shocked and disbelieving expression after I struck him. Ha ha! The entire battlefield fell into silence, an eerie quiet. Only the Blood Demon Emperor's laughter echoed, accompanied by the various expressions of those around him. Chapter 465. Surprise attack. Xianyuan Lai and the other human strong warriors had expressions of shock and confusion, their mouths slightly agape, unable to calm down for a long time. Even though they had trained for thousands of years and experienced many storms, they were somewhat unaccustomed to the Blood Demon Emperor's words. Not to mention them, even the Wuwang and Yao Hua were no exception, their gazes towards the Blood Demon Emperor filled with horror and disbelief. They knew that the Demon Clan was infamous for their cruelty and killing, not only towards their enemies, but also towards their own kin, often being ruthless. However, it was the first time they had heard of such a subversive act from the Blood Demon Emperor. The two exchanged a subtle glance, discreetly distancing themselves from the Blood Demon Emperor. On the Demon Clan's side, whether ordinary soldiers or martial saint-level strong warriors, their expressions and gazes revealed fear. It was a deep-rooted fear. Their ruler in the Demon Clan had such an unknown side, which was simply terrifying. This time, even Xianyuan Tian could not remain indifferent. He looked at the Blood Demon Emperor, who was laughing madly, in shock, unable to respond for a long time. What had this guy experienced in his childhood to become so twisted, capable of fratricide and patricide? Moreover, from what he said, the way he killed his father was extremely cruel, which could not be described as just twisted. While Xianyuan Tian was lost in thought, the wind suddenly shifted. Before anyone could react, the Blood Demon Emperor suddenly appeared before Xianyuan Tian, within 10 meters of him. At that moment, the Blood Demon Emperor was no longer the madman laughing earlier. His eyes were filled with indifference, cruelty, and madness. A powerful killing intent surrounded him, and his blood-red right palm mercilessly struck towards Xianyuan Tian's head. Huh! Xianyuan Tian's face showed a hint of suspicion, yet he remained calm, not at all flustered by the Blood Demon Emperor's surprise attack. In fact, he even regarded the opponent a bit higher. Just moments ago, he had doubted if the Blood Demon Emperor was truly insane. It turned out he was just pretending to be mad. The earlier words and maniacal laughter were merely a diversion to draw Xianyuan Tian's attention away. Of course, the attention of everyone on the battlefield was also drawn to him, and none would have expected that the dignified ruler of the Demon Clan would resort to such a sneak attack. Not only did it subvert everyone's worldview, but this action also stirred the hearts of all. Blood Demon Emperor, how dare you? A furious roar resounded through the sky, coming from Xianyuan Lai, who saw the Blood Demon Emperor sneak attacking Xianyuan Tian, while Xianyuan Tian appeared to be caught off guard. He was both shocked and angry. He had let his guard down. As the current leader of the Xianyuan clan and the present sage of the Huaxia Holy Land, he had committed such a low-level mistake. The Blood Demon Emperor's earlier words had distracted him. It was truly infuriating. Xian Yuan Lai inwardly cursed himself, then vanished from his position, appearing behind the Blood Demon Emperor in the next instant. He also struck out with a palm, a golden giant hand aimed at the Blood Demon Emperor's back, filled with terrifying power, creating a dreadful turbulence in the vicinity. Besides Xian Yuan Lai, other human Emperor-level strong warriors also launched their attacks towards the Blood Demon Emperor, showing no mercy. Chapter 466. Eerie scene, yet the Blood Demon Emperor remained unfazed, displaying a cruel smile as his blood-colored hand continued to strike towards Xian Yuan Tian's head. Immediately after, something that infuriated Xian Yuan Lai and others occurred. Just as the Blood Demon Emperor was about to hit Xian Yuan Tian, two massive figures appeared on either side of him. They were the Yao Huang and Wu Wang, both exuding terrifying killing intent. The Yao Huang held a bronze bell towering over them, while the Wu Wang wielded a several-meter-long gray spear. The bronze bell and gray spear emanated a terrifying aura as the two advanced towards Xian Yuan Tian, one on the left and one on the right. Xian Yuan Tian fell into an encirclement with no way to retreat in a precarious situation. At least, that was how it appeared to the other onlookers. Xian Yuan Tian seemed completely stunned by the actions of the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions. His demeanor only heightened the anxiety of the many human martial artists present. Xiao Tian quickly dodged. Xian Yuan Lai shouted anxiously at Xian Yuan Tian. Brother Xiao Tian, it's dangerous. Ouyang Qinger, who had previously appeared calm, was now flustered and panicked. She never expected that the three alien rulers, who had no way to escape before, would suddenly join forces to ambush Xian Yuan Tian. It was truly beyond everyone's expectations. Xiao Tian quickly counterattacked. Your Majesty, be careful. The human martial artists, regardless of whether they knew Xian Yuan Tian or how close they were to him, all shouted warnings. This was the emperor of the human race, who appeared during a crisis to bring hope and confidence for victory. No one could accept the sudden reversal of the battlefield situation in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Demon Emperor and the Witch King, who were participating in the siege against Xian Yuan Tian, displayed smirks of success. They couldn't help but secretly despise Xian Yuan Tian, thinking, with someone like you, you can be the human emperor? You think you can turn the tide and save the human race from disaster? You're still too naive compared to the human race. The three alien races, although initially shocked, quickly regained their composure and their morale soared. The powerful beings above the martial saint level from the three alien races no longer chose to flee and instead attacked the human warriors to prevent any rescue efforts. At that moment, Xian Yuan Tian, at the center of the storm, subtly raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a hint of disdain in his eyes. Almost no one noticed this, as they were all captivated by the sudden actions of the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions. There was one exception, and that was the Blood Demon Emperor. As he decisively attacked Xian Yuan Tian, he kept a close watch on Xian Yuan Tian's expression. Suddenly, his face changed dramatically, and he shouted, "Everyone retreat!" The sudden roar of the Blood Demon Emperor caught everyone off guard. The powerful beings from the three alien races hesitated at first, but ultimately heeded his command and prepared to withdraw. The human warriors, however, showed no signs of stopping and continued to rush towards the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions. In the next moment, everyone witnessed a scene that left them dumbfounded and incredulous. The three alien beings were utterly horrified, just as the Blood Demon Emperor, the Witch King, and the Demon Emperor were about to strike Xian Yuan Tian. Time and space seemed to freeze. The terrifying attacks from the three vanished without a trace in an instant. Chapter 467. The powerful human emperor, the Blood Demon Emperor, the Witch King, and the Demon Emperor found their bodies immobilized around Xian Yuan Tian, unable to move, with only their eyes still able to express fear. These three could be considered the most powerful figures in this world, having dominated for thousands of years. They had seen countless scenes and faced many threats. What could possibly instill fear in them? Death? No, for those standing at the pinnacle of the world. They had long since become indifferent to life and death. Death would not frighten them. Yet at this moment, the situation they faced was too bizarre, too unfathomable. The seemingly indifferent and somewhat harmless young man before them made them feel a genuine fear for the first time. Is this your last resort? Xian Yuan Tian spoke in a cold, flat tone, his voice eerily calm. The human warriors, including Xian Yuan Lai, who had been charging forward, all stopped, staring in shock at the serene Xian Yuan Tian and the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions suspended in midair. since Xian Yuan Tian's appearance. They had lost count of how many times they had been so astonished. Perhaps in the thousands of years of their cultivation, they had never felt such shock as they did today. Xian Yuan Tian's strength was terrifying, surpassing all imagination. However, after the shock, the human warriors breathed a sigh of relief and showed expressions of joy. The stronger Xian Yuan Tian became, the stronger the human race would be, and the more confidence they would have. The outcome of today's racial war was practically a foregone conclusion, with victory for the human race in sight. I have given you the chance to leave a last word. Since you do not cherish it, then this is the end. Xian Yuan Tian said coldly once more. With a wave of his hand, 3 fist-sized, multicolored orbs shot out towards the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions. In the blink of an eye, when the 3 multicolored orbs touched the bodies of the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions, they suddenly dispersed, and 9-colored light enveloped the 3. In the horrified gazes of the Blood Demon Emperor and his companions, their bodies transformed into tiny, nearly invisible colored particles. A gust of wind blew by, and the colorful particles dissipated into the sky as if they had never existed. Silence. The scene was eerily quiet, creating an unsettling atmosphere. Including Xian Yuan Lai and other powerful beings, everyone gaped with mouths slightly open, staring in shock at the composed Xian Yuan Tian. They looked around Xian Yuan Tian, and some couldn't help but rub their eyes, confirming that the figure of the Blood Demon Emperor had completely vanished, leaving no trace behind. Is this still a human? Could it be that some monster transformed? At this moment, Xian Yuan Tian became an independent spectacle, feeling somewhat out of place amidst the surroundings. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The crowd was startled. Some did not stop. The top-tier powerful beings of the 3 alien races, after their initial shock, began to flee in all directions like startled birds. Xian Yuan Tian glanced at them disdainfully and pointed forward. Dozens of colorful beams shot out in all directions. The fleeing powerful beings of the 3 alien races, upon seeing this, were utterly horrified and increased their speed. Unfortunately, this battlefield had long been set up by Xian Yuan Tian as a cage using the 9 Extremes power. Without his permission, no one could escape. Boom, boom, boom. The powerful beings of the 3 alien races began to strike at the 9-colored beams. However, it was all in vain. No matter how they attacked, it was ineffective. Chapter 468. The end of the invaders, even if they used all their strength and powerful martial skills, even revealing their last trump cards. They still could not shake the 9-colored beams in the slightest. They fell into despair. Today, they could not escape death. Suddenly, one of the Blood Demon race's powerful beings roared, "If we are to die today, so be it. We must not die without value. If we are to die, we must take a few with us." As soon as he finished speaking, that powerful being from the Blood Demon race angrily charged towards the nearest human warrior. The target was an elder from one of the 8 major human sects, the Xianbing Palace. She was an old woman with snow-white hair and a half-emperor level cultivation. Wherever Xian Yuan Tian looked, he saw those talented martial artists of the same generation as himself. This included the successors of the leaders of the 8 great families: Dongfang Qi, Shangguan Yuan, Shimin Tianyu, Sita Yuchuan, Nangong Ao, Huang Fujie, and Gong Sunbai. The 8 great families were the most loyal followers of the Xian Yuan royal family, always guarding around them and ready to respond to their summons. The successors of the 8 great families, in a sense, represented the future of the 8 great families. The stronger the talents and abilities of Dongfang Qi and the others, and the more mature their minds, the greater the hope for the 8 great families to become even stronger. Knowing his identity early on, Xian Yuan Tian learned many secrets of the Xian Yuan royal family and the 8 great families from the Linglong Tower spirit and the Xian Yuan sword spirit. The previous generation's human emperor, Xian Yuan Huangdi, had 8 incredibly powerful confidants, who were the ancestors of the 8 great families. The 8 ancestors were nominally the attendants of Xian Yuan Huangdi, but in truth, he shared a brotherly bond with them, and they were like life and death brothers. The relationship between the Xian Yuan royal family and the 8 great families was one of mutual guardianship. This relationship had never changed over thousands of years. The world knew that the 8 great families were subordinate forces of the Xian Yuan royal family, loyal to them and serving as their vanguards. However, this was all a facade for others to see, especially for the 3 major alien races. Everything was to highlight the status of the Xian Yuan royal family. In fact, the strength of the Xian Yuan royal family was undeniable. and no force could challenge their position among the human race. The Xianyuan royal family could maintain their powerful deterrence. And the contribution of the 8 great families should not be overlooked. Besides focusing on these few individuals, Xianyuan Tian also paid special attention to the core disciples of the Xianyuan royal family and the outstanding and popular disciples of the younger generation from the Holy Land. These individuals represented the future of the Xianyuan royal family and the Holy Land, even the future of the human race. Observing their high spirits, outstanding talents and abilities, as well as their rich combat experience, even when fighting against powerful alien warriors, they showed no signs of falling behind. In fact, within a short period, they were able to kill numerous enemies, and Xianyuan Tian was quite satisfied, seeing that the situation was settled, with no need for him to take action nor for any of the human emperors present to intervene. Xianyuan Tian began issuing orders for Xianyuan Lai to dispatch strong warriors to support the other 8 continents, aiming to completely eliminate the 3 alien races invading the Jiuzhou continent from the Endless Sea. The great battle lasted for more than half a day. By dusk, all the martial artists of the 3 alien races had been annihilated, leaving no survivors. Everyone turned their gaze to the enormous square in front of the Holy Land, where a group of people in black robes had gathered, roughly estimated in number over 1 million. A 9-colored light shield enveloped them from above. Chapter 469. Judgment. Colorful rays of light fell upon them, rendering them unable to move. Under so many gazes, the black-robed individuals appeared somewhat flustered. These people were from the Dark Demon sect, with the sect leader at the forefront of the crowd, a towering figure, almost like a giant capable of suppressing mountains and rivers. However, from the perspective of the more than 1 million cult followers behind him, their leader's image seemed less imposing. At this moment, the leader of the Dark Demon sect was also feeling restless inside. He was not afraid of death, but he was frightened by Xianyuan Tian's methods. No one wanted to end up like the Blood Demon Emperor and others, completely annihilated and disappearing without a trace. Perhaps countless years later, no one would remember the Dark Holy Sect or him, the sect leader who could compete with the Holy Land of Huaxia. Thinking of this made his spiritual power restless. Sighing inwardly, if he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have acted as he did. In the next moment, his expression became resolute. Since he had chosen this path, he could only continue down it, even at the cost of his life and the obliteration of his soul. Indeed, he was unrepentant. Xianyuan Tian had been closely observing the actions of the Dark Sect members, especially the sect leader. The sect leader's mask was made of special material, and even peak experts like the Blood Demon Emperor could not see through it, but it could not withstand Xianyuan Tian's gaze. In front of Xianyuan Tian, the other party's mask was as if it did not exist. In front of the current Xianyuan Tian, no matter who you were, what kind of strength you possessed, or what means and schemes you used, it was all useless. The expressions and changes in the eyes of the Dark Sect leader were completely captured by Xianyuan Tian. Whether you regret it now or not, the outcome was already determined the moment you betrayed the human race. Xianyuan Tian's tone was icy, his gaze like that of a spectator observing a group of dead men. The moment he first learned of the existence of the Dark Demon sect, he decided to uproot it completely, especially after the Dark Abyss learned of the Blood Emperor's fate, which deepened their hatred for the Dark Demon sect. Today, he could finally fulfill the vow he made in the Dark Abyss to completely erase the Dark Demon sect. You traitors who betrayed the human race should not exist in this world. Do you think they deserve to die? Xianyuan Tian's gaze swept around, and he shouted, "Tell me, do they deserve to die?" An unnamed aura swept in all directions, shocking tens of millions of human martial artists. Soon, someone from the human martial artists roared, their voice filled with resentment. They deserve to die. They betrayed the human race. Unforgivable. They killed my fellow disciples and slaughtered my kin. Even tearing them apart won't quell my anger. Not only do we want to kill them, but we also want to suppress their souls, ensuring they never reincarnate. A single stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and the martial artists participating in today's battle stepped forward one after another, venting their grievances. Almost all these martial artists had fellow disciples or kin who had suffered at the hands of the Dark Demon sect, and some had entire families and sects annihilated by the Dark Demon sect. Their accumulated hatred for the Dark Demon sect was beyond words, each one gritting their teeth, their eyes filled with resentment, wishing to gnaw on their bones and drink their blood. "We implore your majesty, the human emperor, to seek justice for us." Among them, A human martial sage, looking extremely agitated, knelt in the void before Xianyuan Tian and pleaded. 50 years ago, an elder from the Dark Demon sect approached my Leaf family in Xi'an City, hoping that my family could act as their internal support and relay information. At that time, my Leaf family was the foremost family in Xi'an City, and our family head and elders decisively refused. As a result, that very night, my Leaf family was exterminated, and over 1,000 lives were slaughtered by the sect's minions, leaving only one survivor. It is infuriating that I am powerless to avenge my kin. I ask your majesty, the human emperor, to take charge for me. The one seeking justice was a white-haired elder, tears streaming down his face as he knelt in the void. His words received many responses, and several martial artists reaching the martial sage or martial emperor level stepped forward. They knelt before Xianyuan Tian, recounting their experiences and pleading for the human emperor to take charge for them. In the end, even several martial saints and a half-emperor strongman knelt before Xianyuan Tian. The crimes committed by the Dark Demon sect are too numerous to recount. The presence of millions of human martial artists was deeply moved as they looked towards the followers of the dark cult, exuding an aura of murderous intent, wishing they could personally slay these cruel beasts. No, to call these people beasts would be an insult to beasts. Xianyuan Tian's expression gradually darkened, and his gaze towards the dark cult members grew colder. He no longer spoke harshly. A terrifying killing intent enveloped the surroundings. Xianyuan Tian extended his right palm and made a grasping motion towards the dark cult members in the void. Bang! 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 Explosions echoed through the heavens and the earth. Over 1 million dark cult followers had their bodies exploded into a mist of blood, from which terrified cries emerged. Upon closer inspection, these were tiny figures shrunk down several times, their bodies appearing somewhat illusory, as if they could be blown away by the wind at any moment. Tens of thousands of these tiny figures, under the 9-colored light shield, appeared terrified and scurried about. No matter how they flew, they could not escape the 9-colored light shield, and many of them, in their panic, crashed into it. With a poof, they turned into nothingness, frightening the other tiny figures to keep their distance from the 9-colored light shield. Only one tiny figure, larger than the others and deep black in color, floated calmly in mid-air, looking at the chaotic scene beneath the 9-colored light shield with a look of resignation. He sighed softly, closed his eyes, as if he had accepted his fate. The millions of human martial artists watched coldly, many still carrying resentful gazes. These tiny figures were the souls of the dead dark cult followers, and that deep black soul, larger than the others, belonged to the leader of the dark cult. Once a martial artist steps into the martial venerable realm, a soul is formed in their sea of consciousness. After reaching the martial venerable level, even if the physical body is destroyed, as long as the soul remains intact, one will not lose their life. Of course, this is assuming that the enemy does not target your soul. The next moment, beneath the 9-colored light shield, a cluster of red flames appeared out of nowhere, emitting a scorching heat, causing the souls of those dark cult followers to turn pale with fright. One by one, they fled for their lives, distancing themselves from the flames. The flames were like natural enemies to the souls. Encountering certain special flames posed a danger of being burned away. The cluster of flames seemed alive, splitting into countless small flames that spread in all directions. Chapter 471. Terrifying flames each pursued every soul, causing the dark cult followers' souls to feel as if their livers were being torn apart. They panicked and fled desperately, yet they could not escape the flames' pursuit. One by one, the souls were caught by the flames. A series of chilling screams erupted as the red flames mercilessly burned each soul, twisting their faces in agony, their expressions grotesque and full of pain. Damn it, what kind of flame is this? Get away. It hurts so much. What kind of flame is this? My soul power is almost burned away. After being entangled by the flames, some souls tried every means to extinguish them. The red flames were like a festering sore. No matter how hard they tried, they could not put them out, and instead, they burned even more fiercely. The gradually darkening sky was once again illuminated as if it were daytime. Among the surrounding human martial artists watching this, many revealed cold smiles. Serves you right. You traitors of a human race deserve such a fate. Burning your souls is already too merciful for you. Those who had knelt before Xianyuan Tian displayed expressions of satisfaction and relief. However, some still felt regret that they could not personally slay their enemies. Fortunately, they could witness the tragic end of these foes with their own eyes. The flames continuously burned the souls, and the screams lasted for nearly an hour, leaving only one soul unscathed. It was the deep black figure, larger than the others. This larger soul also bore a painful, twisted, and grotesque expression, yet did not let out a sound, calmly gazing at Xianyuan Tian. Xianyuan Tian's expression turned cold as he looked down at the soul of the dark cult leader, saying indifferently, "It seems I have been too merciful towards you." As soon as he finished speaking, countless colorful small swords appeared above the nine-colored light shield, in gold, green, light blue, red, yellow, totaling 9 colors. These small swords were only the size of an adult's palm, radiating a sharp aura. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sharp small swords pierced through the 9-colored light shield and rapidly flew towards the soul of the dark cult leader. The dark cult leader's expression changed drastically as he sensed a heart-pounding aura from these small swords. He wanted to dodge, but the swords were too fast, and in the next moment, a golden small sword pierced through his soul. Oof. A muffled grunt escaped the dark cult leader's mouth, his expression twisting in pain, his soul becoming even more illusory. Following that, one small sword after another ruthlessly pierced through his soul. Muffled groans continuously emanated from his mouth. After enduring the pain of being pierced by over 100 small swords, the dark cult leader could no longer control himself. An extremely painful scream echoed through the sky, chilling to the bone. Hearing it made even the observing martial saint and half-emperor experts shiver. What on earth are these small swords, and why are they so terrifying? Previously, when the souls of those dark cult followers were burned and in immense pain, they found those flames frightening, because they had never seen such flames that could completely burn soul power. Chapter 472. Still not coming out? When they saw that the dark cult leader had been burned by these flames for an hour without uttering a sound, they were rather impressed by him. As expected of the dark cult leader, he could endure pain that ordinary people could not. Yet at this moment, these peculiar colorful small swords could not help but scream in pain, which was truly terrifying. They could not help but look at Xianyuan Tian with a look of reverence. Secretly shocked, they were glad he was emperor of humanity, not an enemy. Otherwise, they truly did not dare to think further. Xianyuan Tian's expression remained calm as he coldly watched the continuously screaming dark cult leader. A quarter of an hour passed. The screams finally ceased, and the dark cult leader's soul completely vanished before everyone's eyes. The scene fell into silence, with no one speaking for a long time. "Thank you, Your Majesty. We have avenged our great grievances." "Thank you, Your Majesty. We have avenged our great grievances." "Thank you, Your Majesty. We have avenged our great grievances." The strong ones who had knelt before Xianyuan Tian knelt again, their expression sincere. Xianyuan Tian lightly waved his hand, and an unnamed force emerged, lifting these strong ones' feet, preventing them from kneeling down and straightening their bodies. "You are all warriors of my human race. There is no need for such formalities. It is my duty to eliminate the traitors of the human race," Xianyuan Tian said with a dignified tone. "I can only blame myself for coming too late and not being able to protect more people." "Thank you, Your Majesty," everyone said respectfully. After that, they stepped aside. Xianyuan Lai stepped out from the human ranks, just about to speak. Xianyuan Tian suddenly scoffed disdainfully at a certain spot in the void on his left. "A few of you. Have you been watching for so long and still not come out?" The crowd was shocked and looked in the direction Xianyuan Tian was gazing, only to find it empty, with no figures or fluctuations of spiritual or soul power. However, the strong ones like Xianyuan Lai would not think Xianyuan Tian was joking. Everyone had witnessed Xianyuan Tian's strength, and since he said those words, it meant that there must be someone hiding in the void. They just hadn't discovered it yet. Xianyuan Lai and Ouyang Jing's expressions were somewhat ugly. Who exactly was hiding there? Even they, as emperor-level experts, had not noticed. The opponent was definitely not a simple character. If the opponent was an enemy and suddenly attacked them, just thinking about it was terrifying. "What? Do you want me to personally invite you out? You mice hiding in the dark?" Xianyuan Tian mocked. "Haven't you been chasing me all this time? I'm right here in front of you. Why are you afraid to strike?" "Yin Luo Hall, Hellgate, and the path of humanity. I haven't settled accounts with you yet, and you came knocking on my door. What a delightful surprise. What? The three major assassin organizations? This statement stirred up a great commotion. Everyone was alarmed. Xinyuan Lai, Ouyang Jing, and other strong experts all erupted with powerful auras. Their expressions showed they were ready to strike at any moment. To be able to hide in the void without leaking any aura, to the point that even these strong experts did not notice, could only mean that the assassins were likely the leaders of the three major assassin organizations. It was rumored that the leaders of these organizations had the strength to assassinate Emperor-level experts. They had to be on guard. Knowing that Xinyuan Tian was present, they did not dare to let their guard down. After a few breaths, where everyone's gaze fell in the void dozens of miles away, fluctuations of spiritual power appeared. Three figures dressed differently emerged there. Chapter 473. Leaders of the three major assassin organizations, following closely behind the three figures, over 100 black figures appeared in succession. The auras of these figures were restrained. If one did not see it with their own eyes, even half-emperor-level experts would find it difficult to detect their movements. Your Majesty, the three in the front are the leaders of the three major assassin organizations. It is rumored that all three have assassinated emperor-level experts, both from the human race and the three major alien races. Bing Li said, Xinyuan Tian nodded slightly. When his cultivation was still relatively low, he had encountered assassins from the three major assassin organizations several times, but he had not let them succeed and had instead killed the assassins sent after him. He had also vowed that one day he would personally destroy the three major assassin organizations, making them understand the consequences of trying to assassinate him. At this moment, although their auras were restrained, they could not hide from Xinyuan Tian's perception. The group of black-clad assassins had at least peak martial saint cultivation, and there were more than 30 half-emperor experts among them. The three at the front were all at the emperor level, much stronger than Ouyang Jing, who had just recently advanced. The three leaders. On the left was a man in a gray robe, slender and nearly 6 feet tall, wearing a specialized mask of the Hell Gate assassins. However, his mask was different from those of other Hell Gate assassins. Theirs looked relatively ordinary, while his was made from a special kind of jade. Xinyuan Tian sensed a special soul power fluctuation from a mask, a defensive mask that isolates soul power probing. Xinyuan Tian showed disdain. Such a mask might be able to withstand scrutiny from emperor-level experts, but before him, it was as if it was non-existent and utterly useless. Xinyuan Tian then scanned the other two. On the far right was a man in a dark green robe, of medium build and nearly 7 feet tall, also wearing a special defensive mask. He was the leader of the Path of Humanity. In the center stood a robust man, 8 feet tall, dressed in a purple robe, whose aura was stronger than the other two. He was the leader of Yin Luo Hall, including the three leaders of the major assassin organizations. Over 100 top assassins had powerful auras that were faintly visible. According to past experiences, other martial artists would probably run away at the first sight of them. However, at this moment, these assassins exuded a heavy aura. Through their masks, Xinyuan Tian could clearly see the serious expressions on each of their faces. Many of them had terrified eyes, but they were much better than the people from the Dark Demon sect. They were not as afraid of death. The expressions of the three leaders were even uglier, their moods shifting unpredictably. Xinyuan Tian immediately saw through their intention to escape. However, due to the existence of the 9-color prison, they would not be able to escape even if they wanted to. Since you didn't kill me back then, you must be prepared to be killed by me. Now that you have appeared here, you surely have no good intentions. Xinyuan Tian spoke coldly, his gaze icy. You are no different from the people of the Dark Demon sect. You might as well die obediently. With a gentle flick of his right hand, a 9-colored light suddenly appeared in the void. Those assassins immediately hid into the void. In just a blink of an eye, all the assassins who had just hidden in the void were shaken out, each one trapped by a colorful spiritual power line. Their bodies were fixed in the void, unable to move. Chapter 474. The nest of the assassin organization. Only the three leaders of the assassin organizations did not hide, allowing the colorful spiritual power lines to bind them. Quiet down. From a moment you became assassins, this day was destined to come. If you must die, why struggle in vain? The one who spoke was the leader of Yin Luo Hall, looking as if he was disappointed. He then looked up, his eyes sharp as he stared at Xinyuan Tian. I didn't expect that the little brat we looked down on back then has now become the unrivaled human emperor. We can only blame ourselves for being too arrogant, leading to today's outcome. We cannot blame anyone else. Although he was speaking to Xinyuan Tian, it sounded more like he was talking to himself. That's right, the victor takes all. If you're going to kill, then just kill. There is no need for needless words. The leader of the path of humanity echoed. At this moment, he appeared extremely calm, as if death was no big deal to him. The leader of Hell Gate remained silent, but his eyes also conveyed to everyone that he was unafraid of death. All right, then I will grant you your wish. Xinyuan Tian coldly laughed, turning to Xinyuan Jian and saying, Xinyuan, find their nest. Today, I will uproot their stronghold. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Xinyuan sword emitted a crisp sound. In the next moment, its golden light surged, and 3 dazzling golden sword beams instantly shot out, striking the void behind the group of assassins. Tear! The 3 golden sword beams tore through the air, creating 3 massive rifts that automatically opened to the sides. In less than 3 breaths, 3 spatial gates, each several hundred meters in diameter, appeared before everyone. What attracted everyone's gaze was not the 3 spatial gates, but the scene behind them. So this is the headquarters of the 3 major assassin organizations? No wonder we have searched for thousands of years without finding it. It was hidden so deep. Xinyuan Lai couldn't help but sigh. Upon hearing this, the 3 leaders of the assassin organizations changed their expressions drastically. Previously, even knowing that they had no way out today, the faces of the 3 leaders were quite calm. They showed no fear of facing death. But at this moment, their hearts could not remain calm, because they understood very well that even if they died, as long as the headquarters remained, the 3 major assassin organizations would have a chance to rise again. Once the headquarters was discovered, to use Xinyuan Tian's recent words, it would be uprooted. If the headquarters was destroyed, the 3 major assassin organizations would cease to exist, let alone rise again. Yinluo Hall, Hell Gate, and the Human Path. These 3 assassin organizations, which made martial artists from the Jojo continent and even powerful beings from the 3 major alien races tremble with fear, had already gained a fearsome reputation in ancient times. Thousands of years ago, after the 3 of them took over, they developed the 3 major powers to a new height, making others even more fearful. Because in ancient times, although the 3 major assassin organizations were powerful, they did not dare to provoke emperor-level experts easily. Under their leadership, the 3 major forces even dared to assassinate emperor-level experts, and could do so with just 1 force acting alone. That was a glorious achievement, and it was something they were very proud of. Today, the 3 major forces that had fully grown under their command were about to be annihilated, which left them unwilling to accept. The changes in their expressions were fully captured by Xinyuan Tian. Xinyuan Tian sneered. Not willing, huh? What does it matter if you're not willing? Weren't you just very tough? This time, I will completely eradicate your 3 major assassin organizations. Let's see how you stir up trouble from behind. Chapter 475, Annihilating the 3 major assassin organizations. That is the headquarters of Yinluo Hall. Patriarch, the task of exterminating Yinluo Hall is entrusted to you. Xinyuan Tian pointed to the central spatial gate and said. Hearing Xinyuan Tian still refer to himself as Patriarch, with no change in tone from before, Xinyuan Lai was slightly taken aback. Then he smiled confidently. Rest assured, Yinluo Hall will be handled by the Holy Land. Not only will I destroy their headquarters, but I will also mobilize all the Dark Spirit Guards to find every Yinluo Hall assassin hidden throughout the Jojo continent, leaving no fish slipping through the net. That would trouble you, Patriarch, Xinyuan Tian said with a smile. Then he looked at Bingli. Senior Bingli, the Hell Gate will be handled by the 8 major sects, and you'll lead the team. I obey. Bingli raplia respectfully. Finally, Xinyuan Tian looked at Ouyang Jing and said, Patriarch Ouyang, the human path will be handled by your 8 major families. Your Majesty, rest assured, our 8 major families will handle the human path cleanly, not letting a single fish slip through. Ouyang Jing cupped his hands, full of confidence. As he spoke, he couldn't help but glance proudly at the other 7 patriarchs of the 8 major families, as if to say, look, the Emperor of Humanity happens to be my son-in-law, and he assigned such an important task to me, the father-in-law, right from the start. You shouldn't be envious. As if understanding Ouyang Jing's gaze, the other 7 patriarchs' faces darkened, expressing their speechlessness. A few of them cursed inwardly. What a petty person with a little success. Shuanan Liechtenstein, Bingli, and Ouyang Jing were all powerful figures who had long held high positions, and their efficiency in handling matters was extremely high. In less than the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, they had each gathered over 1,000 powerful warriors above the martial emperor level. Personally leading the charge, they stormed into the headquarters of the three major assassin organizations. Before long, fierce sounds of fighting came from within the three spatial gates. Explosions and screams echoed continuously. The battle began quickly and ended quickly. In less than a quarter of an hour, the headquarters of the three major assassin organizations was directly reduced to ruins. After all, within the three teams, there was more than one emperor-level expert, and without their leaders present, Yanluo Hall, Hell Gate, and the Human Path could not withstand the attacks of the emperor-level experts. Another quarter of an hour passed, and the three teams returned to the battlefield. Xianyuan Tian said lightly, "The good show is over. It's time to send you on your way." He waved his hand lightly, and including the leaders of the three major assassin organizations, over 100 top assassins met the same fate as the leader of the Dark Demon cult. Their forms and spirits were obliterated, turning to dust and dissipating into the world. After an unknown period, the reinforcements from the other 8 coastal states returned, suffering very few casualties. Thus, this battle concerning the survival of the human race came to a close. That night, in the holy land of Huaxia, there stood a magnificent palace, resplendent with gold and jade. Upon entering the palace, one could find that the internal space was vast. Roughly estimated, it could accommodate tens of thousands of people. At this moment, the main hall was brightly lit. In the hall, there was a small platform with a golden dragon throne, exuding an air of grandeur. Xianyuan Tian sat majestically on the golden dragon throne, and the area below was filled with people. Those who could enter here were all individuals of noble status and extraordinary standing. Except for a few, their cultivation levels were all above the martial saint level. Chapter 476. One person achieves the Tao. For example, Donfang Qi, Shangguan Yuan, Shimen Tianyu, and the successors and core disciples of the 8 major families. Xuan Yuan Bai, Xuan Yuan Kave, and other core disciples of the Xianyuan royal family, as well as some of the top-ranking core disciples of the Holy Land. Of course, there were also Xianyuan Qingli and Ouyang Qing'e, individuals close to Xianyuan Tian. Below, Xianyuan Tian, sitting closest to the golden dragon throne on both sides, were emperor-level experts. On the left side sat Xianyuan Lai. Nearby were other emperor-level experts from the Xianyuan royal family and the Holy Land, as well as emperor-level experts from the 8 first-rate sects and the 8 major families. On the right side sat the ancestral elder of the dragon clan from the 5 divine beasts, surrounded by other strong members of the 5 divine beasts, including Little Jean. At that moment, Xianyuan Feng walked in calmly, followed by 2 men and 2 women, all 4 looking nervous and restrained. These 4 were Xianyuan Tian's Xianyuan Qijuan, grandmother Huang Qi, father Xianyuan Ninghai, and mother Qingyuan. Their cultivation levels compared to when they had just left Tiandu City were like heaven and earth. At this time, Xianyuan Qijuan had already reached the peak of the martial venerable level. Xianyuan Ninghai was also at the peak of the martial venerable level. Huang Qi had reached the late martial venerable stage, and Qingyuan was slightly weaker at the early martial venerable level. The attendees are all powerful individuals, and aside from a few exceptions, their cultivation levels far exceed those of the newcomers, easily recognizable at a glance. Most of the people present have never seen them before, and their expressions show confusion. In such a serious setting, Xianyuan Feng unexpectedly brought in a few warriors whose cultivation is below that of the martial emperor. Many people are also scrutinizing the 2 individuals, Xianyuan Tian and Xianyuan Ninghai, and upon noticing their slight resemblance, they instantly understand the situation. When they see Xianyuan Qijuan and the others passing by, they take the initiative to greet them, which surprises them a bit. Before entering the hall, Xianyuan Feng had already reminded them that the majority of those inside have a cultivation level above martial sage. This is the first time they have encountered so many powerful beings gathered together. When the group looks up at the top of the hall, they are instantly stunned. Seeing the familiar figure on the golden dragon throne, Xianyuan Qijuan and the others are filled with shock and disbelief. Especially Xianyuan Tian's mother, Qingyuan, who doubts whether she is seeing things. The person sitting on the golden dragon throne turns out to be her own son, Xianyuan Tian, whom she hasn't seen in months. Moreover, the clan leader Xianyuan Lai is sitting just below him on the left. This is quite something. Seeing his grandfather and grandmother, father and mother looking at him in shock, Xianyuan Tian can't help but smile, feeling a bit smug. At this moment, Xianyuan Feng, walking in front, smiles and nods at Xianyuan Tian. Then he turns to explain to Xinyuan Qijuan and the others. You may not know yet, but Little Tian is now the new emperor of the human race, the most distinguished, highest-ranking, and most powerful person in the entire Jiuzhou continent. Everyone must obey his orders, including me, the clan leader, and many of the elders. What? Little Tian is the new emperor of the human race? Xinyuan Feng's words leave them stunned, mouths agape, looking at Xinyuan Tian in disbelief. In just a few months, how did Xinyuan Tian become the emperor? He is only 19 years old, not even 20 yet. They find it hard to believe, no matter how they think about it. Chapter 477, Reckoning Previously, when the human race and the three major alien races erupted into war. The people from the Xinyuan family in Tianduan City did not participate due to their lack of strength and other reasons. Therefore, they did not witness Xinyuan Tian appearing as the emperor of the human race or his powerful actions in annihilating the Blood Demon Emperor, the Demon Emperor, and the King of Wuhuang, among the other powerful beings of the three alien races. On the way to the hall, Xinyuan Feng only told them about the events on the battlefield, but did not mention the crucial information that Xinyuan Tian is the emperor. The group exchanged glances and then looked at Xinyuan Feng. Xinyuan Feng smiled and nodded, indicating that they did not hear wrong. Little Tian is indeed the emperor, and everyone present can attest to this. After receiving confirmation from Xinyuan Feng again, Xinyuan Qijuan and the others feel as if they are in turbulent waters, unable to calm down for a long time. Soon after, their hearts are filled with joy. Especially Qin Yuyan. Her son has become the supreme emperor of the Jiuzhou continent, nearly bringing her to tears from joy. What mother doesn't wish for her son to succeed and stand out? However, due to the special occasion, she does not show it. Suddenly, they realize an awkward issue, which is that they do not know where to sit. It seems there are no vacant spots nearby. Seeing their grandfather and the others standing in the center of the hall looking lost, Xinyuan Tian immediately stands up and approaches them. Grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, please follow me. Xinyuan Tian smiles as he leads his mother up to the high platform. Qin Yuyan is a bit taken aback and allows her son to pull her onto the high platform. Xinyuan Ninghai, Xinyuan Qijuan, and Huang Qi have no choice but to follow behind and ascend the platform together. At some point, several special chairs have appeared on either side of the Golden Dragon throne. Xinyuan Tian looks gratefully at Xinyuan Lai, who nods back with a smile. Xinyuan Tian leads his mother to sit on the left side near the Golden Dragon throne, reassures her a few times, and then invites his father and grandparents to sit down. At this time, many powerful beings present, after inquiring from various sources, have also learned about Xinyuan Qijuan and the others' identities. They do not feel dissatisfied that these individuals are sitting on the high platform alongside His Majesty the Emperor. Instead, they appear to think it is only natural. After all, they are the closest relatives of His Majesty the Emperor, and their status is equally noble. The saying goes, when one person ascends to greatness, even their chickens and dogs rise to the occasion, under the gaze of so many powerful beings. Xinyuan Qijuan and the others feel somewhat uneasy, but also experience a thrill of joy inside. Moments later, Xinyuan Lai stands up and respectfully addresses Xinyuan Tian, Your Majesty. The three major alien race powers that invaded the Jiuzhou continent have been almost completely eradicated. Only a small number of remnants from the demon cult and three major assassination organizations remain. I have sent people to hunt them down. However, there are still many alien powers surviving on the alien continent. Please decide, Your Majesty. What do you mean, clan leader? Xinyuan Tian asks. This is his first time sitting in such a high position, and he has no experience as a ruler, nor is he adept at handling post-war affairs. Xinyuan Lai, being the clan leader of the Xinyuan royal family, and also the leader of the Huaxia Holy Land, is very familiar with these matters. For thousands of years, the three major alien races have never given up on invading the Jiuzhou continent. This time, they have deployed their entire forces. Leaving them alive will ultimately be a disaster. It is better to eliminate them as soon as possible. Xinyuan Lai responds, a fierce glint flashing in his eyes. Chapter 478, Campaign Against the Alien Races. All right. We will act according to the clan leader's wishes. This matter should not be delayed. We will organize our forces tonight and set out in three directions to attack the three major alien continents tomorrow morning. Xinyuan Tian says with an imposing demeanor. However, the targets of annihilation will be limited to alien warriors above the martial sovereign level, The other alien beings will be spared their lives. Your Majesty, do you mean? Xianyuan Lai looks at Xianyuan Tian with uncertainty. Not only him, but many others present also do not understand Xianyuan Tian's actions. The three major alien races are mortal enemies of the human race. Regarding enemies, especially deadly foes, one should eradicate them completely to leave no chance for resurgence. Some others have flickering eyes, deep in thought. Killing them is naturally simple, but if they are all killed, the human race will have no enemies left, which could easily lead to complacency, especially among the younger generation of warriors. This is not a good thing. Xianyuan Tian says solemnly. Everyone's eyes light up at once. Xianyuan Lai asks, does your Majesty mean to leave those alien beings with cultivation below martial sovereign alive and use the three major alien continents for young warriors to train? Exactly. Xianyuan Tian responds. At that time, let the major sects build teleportation arrays to the alien continents. We should not let them think that since the war has ended, they can rest easy. Instead, we will throw them into the alien continents to fight with the talented warriors of the alien races and see if they are truly talented. Your Majesty is right. We will do as you wish. Xianyuan Lai respectfully replied. Next, the hall discussed many matters regarding post-war arrangements, significant decisions and plans for the Jiuzhou continent, as well as specific arrangements for the expedition the next day. The meeting lasted for several hours. By the end, Xianyuan Tian could hardly sit still. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly, realizing he wasn't cut out to be a leader. It was fine for him to fight against enemies, but dealing with human affairs and having to interact with these seniors who had cultivated for thousands of years was truly difficult for him. He just wasn't made for this. Fortunately, there were still Xianyuan Lai and others around, and he handed everything over to them to handle. Xianyuan Lai and the others seemed to understand Xianyuan Tian's thoughts. One by one, they agreed to assist him in managing various matters, which made Xianyuan Tian secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Soon, the night faded away, and the sky revealed brightness once again. When the first ray of sunlight illuminated the horizon, the Holy Land resonated with thunderous bells, ringing a total of 18 times, echoing through heaven and earth, spreading in all directions. Three enormous spatial gates appeared above the Holy Land. Massive flying ships, filled with human warriors, surged aggressively into the spatial gates. Half a month later, the main force heading to the alien continent returned to the Holy Land once again. They didn't stay long in the Holy Land. The powerful members and disciples of other sects and family forces left one after another, returning to their own forces. Meanwhile, the news that Emperor Xianyuan Tian led the human race to defeat the three major alien races and simultaneously attacked the alien continent returned victoriously spread rapidly across the entire Jiuzhou continent like a storm. People cheered and celebrated the great victory of the human race on the streets, shouting, "Long live His Majesty, the Human Emperor." Among the news, there was another piece of information that excited many forces and warriors. That was the annihilation of the Dark Demon sect and the three major assassin organizations, which made warriors tremble in fear, all personally dealt with by His Supreme Majesty, the Human Emperor. Chapter 479. The grand wedding approaches. Good news kept coming. Not long after the news of the human race's great victory arrived, another exhilarating message came. During the human army's expedition to the alien continent, they left behind alien warriors below the martial venerable level and only eliminated the high-end combat power of the three major alien races. They also cleared out the top local forces of the three major alien races, leaving countless lower-tier forces and numerous treasure lands and secret realms unexplored and undamaged. The establishment of the Demon Slaughter Hall, Demon Slayer Hall, and which Extermination Hall was simultaneously announced in the 9 major states. Warriors at the Martial Spirit, Martial King, Martial Sect, and Martial Venerable levels, whether from sects, families, or as independent cultivators, could join the 3 halls to become Demon Slaughter Warriors, Demon Slayer Warriors, and Witch Extermination Warriors. Each person could join any one of the halls individually or simultaneously join all 3. After joining the 3 halls, they could receive tasks issued by the halls using their identity tokens. Through the teleportation arrays set up within the 3 halls, they could travel to the 3 major alien continents to carry out tasks, earning task points and rewards, which could be exchanged for cultivation resources. It was rumored that all of this was decided by His Supreme Majesty, the Human Emperor. As soon as this news spread, the entire continent was shaken. exciting many warriors and forces. Chapter 480. The Wedding, Final Chapter. What Mother said is right. Little Lier agreed. Brother, hurry and bring Sister Chinger home. And then have a big chubby boy or a chubby girl. Their children will definitely be unbeatable handsome guys or super beauties. Qin Yin secretly gave a thumbs up to Little Lier, thinking how she was indeed her mother's daughter, not in vain. Then she looked at Xinyuan Tian and said, Little Tiger is still not 3 years old, and by the time you two have children, Little Tiger will just happen to be their playmate, which is pretty good. Xinyuan Tian almost couldn't help but roll his eyes, feeling a headache coming on. The word from the mother and daughter duo struck him like lightning. What were they even talking about? They hadn't even married yet, and they were already arranging everything for him, as if it wasn't him who was getting married. Qin Yin ignored his expression and turned to Xinyuan Song respectfully, saying, Elder, Little Tian has also agreed, so please take care of the wedding date and related matters. Haha, it's no trouble at all. Little Tian's marriage not only concerns the two families, but is also a major event for the entire human race. Many people in the clan are eager to take part in it. How could it be a bother? Xinyuan Song stroked his beard, revealing a kind smile. This matter cannot be taken lightly. It's better for me to handle it personally. That way it will be more reliable.